Can you tell me what's wrong with the footage you're looking at? No, it's not me playing Loki, one of the worst frames in the game, but he isn't invisible because I got rid of that ability. What's good, folks? It's NightmareFrame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with Ultimate CC King Loki. Guys, be sure to refill your copium tanks because it's gonna be something. Now, what's funny about this is that this build is comfortable as hell, but nothing special, yet has so many layers to making it work perfectly. This, of course, comes down to the playstyle and how you utilize all the utility that is available in this build. Now, when I say it has so many layers, I mean there's so much going on to make enemies not attack you, but opening them up to get killed. The build offers aggro manipulation, stunning, disarming, blinding, knockback, and knockdown, invulnerability, displacement, speed, shield regen, stealth multipliers, status immunity, and AoE damage. Whew. That's a lot. So it does require a nice arsenal to make it all come together. Loki isn't an impressive frame by all means. He is mostly known for disarming, going invisible, and switch teleporting that can also troll your teammates. Yeah, I bet you've experienced that, didn't you? I replaced his second ability, which was originally invisibility, for shooting gallery. This is an AoE stunning ability from Mesa. It bounces between targets and jams enemy weapons while also giving you a small increase to your base damage. Simple and nothing over the top. Unless you equip its augment, Muzzle Flash. Killing 6 enemies, this can be from you or even assists, it will release a blinding burst that blinds enemies within the area. And when they're blind, they're also open to melee finishers. Now, why replace the second instead of other abilities? Because what's the point of jamming enemy guns and blinding them if they can't see you to begin with? Yeah. I kept his switch teleport just so I can use this safeguard switch augment. Activating the ability on an enemy will swap places with them and grant me invulnerability. And the best part is that this invulnerability scales with duration. You can also swap places with allies and give them invulnerability. And your decoy counts as an ally, so bonus points there. And with the recent addition to the ability, when you cast switch teleport, you also gain a movement speed buff. And now I'm left with his fourth ability, Disarm. Nothing over the top or special. The ability does a radial wave attack that disarms enemies. It does a little stagger since it also deals impact damage. Yeah, I bet a lot of people didn't even know that the ability dealt damage. In terms of weapons, I'm using the old school Zakti Glaive combo, but the glaive here is the Zorus, just because it can easily use melee influence and scales pretty well with it. And yes, the weapon is hard carried by melee influence. Now, why this Zakti? Well, since I did lose access to my invisibility, and if I do want stealth multiplier damage, the Zakti can offer me that. It has explosive darts that deal AoE gas damage, and this explosion staggers enemies and opens them up to melee finishers and stealth multipliers. The setup does have more, but let's take a look at how I've put all of this together, from Archon Shards gameplay loop, little tips and tricks, to the final pieces of the loadouts. The Archon Shards are simple. 3 Tau Forged Blues for the energy max because I can replace Prime Flow on the build for other mods. And 2 Casting Speed Shards for better animations. These are super important. Alright, let's take a look at the gameplay loop. Hello, here we are in Steel Path Mod Survival for the gameplay loop. I'm going to show you everything that goes into making this build pop off. I am using the Madurai Focus School just for one thing. The transference for casting speed. Activate your 2. Look how enemies are right now stunned. You can put your decoy here, make it invulnerable, disarm, and then just blow things up with your glaive. And we also get some movement speed from detonating our glaive with Dispatch Overdrive, and switch teleport. It gives you movement speed as well. If I want some stealth multipliers, use my Zakti. Oh, enemies got knocked back as well. Look at that damage. Xmas can't do anything to you. Just blow them up like that. There you go. Our shield's broken, instantly replenished. And the best part is, I can instantly give myself overshields as well. So yeah, guys. So this is the CC King Loki. Funny, right? It's like that. We have all the energy we have in the world. I can use my ability, pick up an energy orb, and knock down enemies. Alright, so let's take a look at the Loki build. You already know what we have for Archon Shards and Helminth Ability. So let's start off. Now, for the arcanes, I do have Arcane Energized for the energy regen when you pick up an energy orb. And I also have another arcane related to energy. But unfortunately, this doesn't regenerate your energy, but uses energy orbs as crowd control tools. So when you pick up an energy orb, you have a 100% chance to knock down enemies within the area. Now, this knockdown has no cooldown. That's the best part. So whenever you pick up an orb, boom. Unfortunately, it only works if you can pick it up. So if you have equilibrium, then you can always pick up energy orbs. But if your energy is maxed, unfortunately, it will not trigger. So in the aura, I'll be running Corrosive Projection for that negative 18% armor. This is going to be a decent damage boost overall. However, you do have the option of running Empowered Blades, but I found Corrosive Projection will be a lot better. Empowered Blades is additive to Melee Elementalists, which is actually not bad. But because we're already running Melee Elementalists on the build, I don't see the point of actually running this, so we're sticking with Corrosive Projection. In the Exilus, Prime Sure-Footed because, boom, foot maxing, you don't want to get knocked down. It's cringe and annoying. Now for my Shooting Gallery, I'll be running Muzzle Flash for that juicy AoE blind. Now to upkeep this blind duration and Shooting Gallery duration, I will be running Primed Continuity for that 55% duration. This gives me a 46-second duration on Shooting Gallery and 9 seconds on the blind duration from Muzzle Flash. And following up with the augments, I'll be running Safeguard Switch for that juicy invulnerability when I perform a switch teleport on anything. And because I want more coverage, I will be increasing my range with Overextended for that 90% range, and I don't have to worry about negative strength because strength isn't an issue for this build. And following up with Stretch, 45% bonus range. Now the stun radius for Shooting Gallery will be at 37 meters, while the blind radius is at 28 meters. And with Disarm, I get 47 meters, which is massive to be honest.
That's what she said.
And the rest of the mods are just going to be survivability when it comes to shields. So Prime Redirection for the massive shield boost. It's not that massive, but it's decent to have, and I can increase that shield capacity fairly easily with other mods. And because I want my shields to regenerate faster, I will be running Fast Deflection for the 90% shield recharge rate and reducing the shield recharge by 45%. Vigilante Vigor, same thing, both additive to each other. This is the Loki setup. It's stupid and it works. Now for the main damaging melee weapon on this build, it's going to be the Zorus. It's a basic build that deals a decent amount of damage. In the Exilus, I'll be running Dispatch Overdrive for the 60% movement speed upon heavy attack, and this is a heavy attack build, as you can see. We have Prime Pressure Point for the base damage, and Killing Blow for the melee heavy attack base damage, and that wind-up speed. And I'm adding onto that wind-up speed with Amalgam Organ Shatter and Melee Elementalists. Not only does it increase my heavy attack wind-up speed, but it also gives me bonus status damage. So that means your electricity damage over time will deal more damage. And now some of you might be wondering, where's the electricity coming from? I only have viral modded on this weapon. Well, because the AoE explosion from the heavy attacks and all that force proc electric. So I don't have to physically mod electricity on this weapon. And with that, I can easily trigger melee influence. And instead of Corrupt Charge, I'll be running Galvanized Reflex. This gives me heavy attack efficiency and initial combo. A heavy attack efficiency will allow me to consume less combo on a heavy attack. And I also get 5 times initial combo after killing 4 enemies. And finally, Volatile Quick Return for the big kabloomies. Very simple build. For the Zakti, use the Zakti Prime. I just don't have the Zakti Prime 4 mod. This has been my go-to primer from the OG days, as it comes with innate gas on its radial explosion, and I can mod it for corrosive heat radiation. Very simple. Secondary Cucumber here for the additional status effects. You get a little bit. It's not bad to have. Fulmination for the explosion radius. Multi-shot and some utility. More multi-shot fire rate. Have my radiation. Corrosive heat and anemic agility. I don't need to run viral here because I already have viral on my melee weapon. And finally, the companion. It is going to be the Worm Prime. Negate for the status prevention. This is going to be our so-called status immunity. And with the recent changes, I'm able to refresh the duration with Manifold Bond. As you saw, I have multiple stats effects coming from my secondary and melee. Easily able to reduce the cooldown. Guardian to instantly replenish my shields. Shield Charger to increase my shield pool. And it gives me shield recharge rate. Crowd Dispersion. This knocks back enemies if there's a couple of enemies around me that are attacking me. It's nice to have. Send Deconstruct here is only here for the passive. When you holster your weapon, it reloads your weapon. That's it. That's literally it. That's the only reason I have this here, for some utility. And I'm going to be adding onto that utility with my sentinel weapon. I am using the Burst Laser Prime here because it is a secondary sentinel weapon. And why secondary? Well, because I can have 2 auger mods for the shield regen when I use energy. On top of that, I can add on to my synth mod for the holster reload. So if I use my miter here to get rid of a nullifier bubble, we used 2 shots, holster our weapon, and it's reloaded. And we can also reload our Zakti when we swap to shoot a nullifier bubble. We come back, we have our Zakti back. And speaking of the miter, this is here for some additional utility against nullifiers or when we get silenced by violence. You take this, that, and finally this right here. The build is very simple. Fractalized reset for the reload speed. This also affects incarnate transformation. You want to have neutralizing justice for that nullifier bubble pop, and it's just modded for a simple corrosive and crit build. It's amalgam serration for some even more sprint speed to add on to that movement speed buff that we get from switch teleport and dispatch overdrive. So we do dispatch overdrive, switch teleport, and we're even faster. Boom, we get that dispatch overdrive, and we're zooming. We see we knock back enemies right there. Knock back enemies again. Knock back enemies again. Very clean. This is the funny Loki build that doesn't utilize invisibility, and you're able to deal reasonable amount of damage. So yeah, folks, that has been it from me. I do hope you've enjoyed and learned something from this video. And if you did, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content streams and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching. As always, a peace. Bye-bye now.